Hello, everybody. Hello. Let's see here. Move this over. How's everyone doing tonight? Oh, you say great, good. Hey, Prisa. Good evening. We're going to let everyone check in or come in, and we also have Dr. Venetia Dutra, who should be joining us any second. Let's see, panelists here. Here we go. Hey, Dr. V.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing tonight?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Good. We've got people coming in.
I see. Hey, hey, fam. What's going on? Hey, hey. Was that Shalita? What's up, Shalita?
Yeah, Lynn here, Prisa. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah.
So we're going to give people a couple of minutes to come
get in.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
And say hello to your fellow potential candidates.
That's right. I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yeah, so, well, I want to welcome you because you have not been on an official DUIC.
I have not. I've been in a lot of meetings, but not one of these.
I know, we see you all over the place. You're everywhere. We felt neglected. We had to have you come in.
Listen, you may not see me, but I'm working. I'm working in the back on your behalf. Trust me.
Thank you.
Y'all got me working today, boy. Y'all had a sister busy.
Yeah, look, it's been a pretty busy day for you. I know you've been doing a lot behind the scenes, so we appreciate that.
Yeah, but it's all good. It's all good. Glad to do it.
So we're going to give people one more minute to come in.
Yeah.
We're going to give people just one more minute to come in, and then we're going to get started because both Dr. V and I are sticklers for time.
I absolutely am.
Yes.
Very functional.
Yes. So while we're doing that, while we're waiting for people to come in, I'm going to just give you a little bit of the agenda for this evening. First thing is that, we want to welcome everyone to the candidate information forum for the Digital Underground Investment Club. What's going to happen tonight is that since Dr. V's name was mentioned last night on a specific webinar that most of us attended or saw the replay of, she's going to give us a brief statement. And then from there, we will not be taking questions about any of the chatter that's happening, and all of us know what I mean by that. This is strictly about being a candidate or what an officer is going to be like or what officer duties are for the Digital Underground Investment Club, and no other questions will be taken this evening. So I hope that you respect that. We also promised to get you out of here by 8 o'clock Eastern time, so that's 1 hour. So Dr. V said, we got to get it, down to an hour, so that's what we're going to do. So with that, Dr. V, we've given enough people time to get in. We've got almost 80 people here, 79 people. We just turned to 80. So why don't we start off, since your name came up last night, start off with you, anything that you want to let the family know.
Yeah, first, I'm honored to be here and be a part of what is happening here. For many of you, I'm sort of new to the scene, but I've been around for a little while. I've known Boyce forever, well before there was a Black business school, and B was Dr. B or Dr. Boyce to everybody. Boyce and I connected at a deep level because we believe fundamentally in the same things, and that's promoting wealth generation within our community, period. Changing a mindset that has kept us behind and chasing after a carrot and chasing after the ball constantly. And the shit is tiring. And we both are passionate about this thing, so much so that we both are, I'm in the process of walking away from a really comfortable job. I'm tenured at a university because I'm very passionate about this. So yesterday, I was in class lecturing, and I came out to cut on my phone, and there was a shitstorm going on, Cherie, on my phone.
And I was part of it. I reached out to you.
It's all good. and then, as I looked through the video, as I figured out what was going on, I saw the same videos all of you have seen. And let me just say, I understand the concern. I understand the concern. I've had multiple conversations with all parties. Spoke to Boyce first thing this morning, Lawrence, Charles, Mark, everybody. I've spoken to everyone. Let me just be clear. My name was put out there. I have been offered a board seat on Jarvis Co. I have not accepted that yet. I am still in the exploratory phases myself on both sides. So that has not been accepted. I am considering it. We are talking about what that would entail. But understand this. My role in this whole thing is to negotiate and serve as an intermediary between Jarvis Co. and Boyce Watkins Enterprises and the DUIC. So everything that I am doing between writing the white paper and ultimately I'll be a significant piece of any negotiations that happen will be to the benefit of the DUIC, period. So if there's any question as to who I am, why I am, where I am, that's the summation of it. I am not going to, my name is on the line, and I've worked very hard to develop my own name and my own reputation, and it is a great reputation as far as I know. And I'm not going to let one person or anyone or any group tarnish that. So let's be clear. I want to be clear here that if it's not making this group money, then there is no carrot in it for me, period. So just understand that that is my role. That's why I am here. I work very closely with Cherie. We work very well together. Mm-hmm. I'm honored to work with this sister. She is on her shit all the time. And I work well with people like that. And we have your best interest at heart. I'm not here to speak for anyone. Everyone's an adult. They can do that for themselves. But I will tell you that really I endorse anything Boyce does. To some, I know who Boyce is. Mm-hmm. Well before he was all popular. These are the conversations Boyce and I were having way back in the day. So Boyce is my boy. And what he says is what he believes. He's no puppet for anyone. I can tell you that. Okay. Charles, we're still learning. I'm still learning about Charles, and he seems to be a good guy, very passionate about making money. That's what he does. That's what he cares about, making. And if he can make the group money as he makes money, my feeling is he's all for it. So I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to get into a long discussion. Hopefully I put a little clarity on who I am and what my role is. Just understand that I'm here to make this happen and to build wealth for this group. That's it. Great. And just an FYI for those who have come in since Dr. V has started speaking, this is Dr. Venetia Dutra, aka Dr. V. We will not be fielding any questions tonight that are outside of what it's like to be a candidate for the Digital Underground Investment Club or what it's like to be an officer. So I asked Dr. V, since her name was mentioned and she had not had a chance to speak publicly, to come and say something publicly since her name was brought up last night. And outside of that, we are moving on to business. If you're not here for business, with all due respect, this is not going to be the Zoom meeting for you. So this is not the forum for that right now. I mean, there will be other forums. We want your opinions to be heard. We're not shutting. I don't believe in shutting down any voices. I don't believe that's Cherie's point. I don't believe that's Boyce's standpoint either. But we have to make sure we keep our eyes on the prize. We have an election that has to be done, and we need to handle the business at large as it pertains to that. So we just need to focus. Absolutely. Don't forget focus. Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen really quickly because I have, as always, a little presentation for you. And let's see here. We are going to look at this. Someone said my voice is going in and out, so let me
Yeah,
speak a little
actually, it's going
louder.
in and out for my in my speakers as well. So I'm not
Sorry about
sure
that.
what's
Just let me
happening.
know.
That's
Is
why I
that
keep leaning
better?
over to. Okay, so I'm going to check the chat here. Let me know if you can see my screen. It says candidate Q&A. I can
Yes, we
see
see it.
yes. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody. Okay, so here is what we are doing for the election season and being a candidate. Tonight's agenda is about the positions that are going to be available. We're going to ask the question, should you run for office? What's in it for you? Why should you do it? Candidate nomination form, we're going to go over that, and running your campaign. And Dr. V is going to add some information in here as well as I'm speaking. So let's talk about the positions that are available. So the first position that we have available is, of course, the presidency. The president is going to manage all the meetings within the club. He or she is going to be the primary negotiator or point of contact with Lawrence and with Charles, and also with Dr. V, because she's taking a really integral part in that. Earlier today, I put out a video that said, why is the DUIC compared to a football team? So if you watch that, you will know my football coach reference here. But really simply speaking, any business that whenever I'm talking to somebody has three parts. So on a football field, you have offense, defense, and the coach. Offense is the group that puts points on the boards, and points for us is making money. Defense protects us from getting shut out of business. Defense for the DUIC is protecting us against the IRS and the SEC and any other threats, I'll put that in quotes, threats that are out there that could close us down or shut the doors. And then the coach is basically the one that is making sure that the team is aligned. We all know what we're doing. And the coaches are going to, we'll probably have several coaches within the group, but this is going to be, of course, the primary coach, who is the president. So if you did not see that video, then please go watch it. I think it's quite informative. So, but that's what the president is going to be doing. The vice president is going to be the primary person managing all the committees. They're going to be in charge of education, Shark Tank pitches, and they sit in for the president in meetings when necessary. The secretary is going to be responsible for all the paperwork. So if you like paperwork, secretary is probably the job for you. We're going to have a lot of partnership agreements coming in, because you have to think about 1,000 people times all the legal documents that have to be signed and hosted for this group. All the meeting minutes, the primary membership liaison person is going to be the secretary. And the treasurer, of course, is responsible for the money. So the first thing that the treasurer would be responsible for is putting together a budget along with the other officers and any other team members that he or she selects. They're also responsible for funding any of the ICOs. They are the IRS liaison if the IRS is asking for any paperwork. And they work with the president on negotiations. The reason I put the treasurer in here instead of the VP or the secretary is because the treasurer is handling the money, and most of the time these negotiations have a lot to do with the funding and things like that. It doesn't mean that the VP and the secretary will have nothing to do with the negotiations. I want to be clear about that. But Charles and Lawrence have asked for two primary points of contact. So the president and the treasurer will most likely be the two primary points of contact. Dr. V, do you have anything to add to this?
No, I think you've summed it up well. I'll just add, as you consider, can you hear me clearly?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. As you consider running for a position, I mean, I've been in a number of organizations, sat on many boards. Oops, sorry about that, guys and ladies. I've seen, so the quickest thing to derail progress is people with their own agendas and people who don't know how to deal with other people. And you know who you are. So if that is you, this is not the time nor the place to look for a personal platform. We have significant business at hand. We are trying to create significant wealth for everyone involved. We need people about business. So hopefully that doesn't come across as mean or aggressive. The shit is what it is. We need people who are willing to work, have the time to work, and can work well with other people.
Right.
So
that doesn't mean you'll be doing all these things alone. There are going to be a lot of committees, subcommittees, and things like that. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say that they are not necessarily capable or interested or have the time to do an officer position, but they want to be involved and they want to do something on a committee or subcommittee. So I just want you to know that a lot of people are reaching out to me offering to help. So don't worry about that. The second thing is I see some people raising their hands. We're not doing raised hands tonight. If you have a question, please put it in the Q&A. The questions must be about being an officer or being a candidate. We are not answering any other questions tonight except being an officer or being a candidate for the club. So if you would please, for the people that raise their hands, please put your question in the Q&A for me. Okay, and I'm going to move to the next slide here. So the question is, what's in it for you? I belong to an organization here in the DC area, and I was actually speaking with the president today, and this organization has a lot of generals and admirals and colonels in it and people that are high up in government or high up in military. And then there's some civilians like me. And I was speaking with the president, and she said, I just came from a meeting and it's going to be really good for me. And I said, well, good for your personal business or good for the organization? And she said, no, good for my personal business, but the meeting came because of the organization. And what that means to you is access. You're going to have access to people. You're going to have access to opportunities. You're going to have access to things that the normal person wouldn't have access to. And if that excites you, then this could be something that you want to take a look at, because you'll get to see everything. You'll get to see the good and the bad, which enables you to discern, even if the group doesn't accept something, it enables you to discern what's good and what's bad out there. So everything from blockchain startups to crypto investment group startups to the ICOs to all other ventures, you're going to be some of the gatekeepers to it all. On a personal note, you will, I'm sure, get paid extra coins during the ICO deals. So Dr. V and I were talking about it this morning. I think that part of your payment, and I'll put that in quotes, is a little slush fund whenever deals are negotiated, that this is kind of the manager, broker, percentage that you get. And as long as you're transparent with the organization about it, I don't think people will mind you getting paid extra coins for the officer positions that you have. You also get to see the best deals and know the key players, networks. I'm working on a multi-billion-dollar deal now because of my network, okay? And then you get to build new skills and eventually be able to potentially consult with other crypto investment groups or as a blockchain consultant. So again, there is a money-making opportunity, but it's not just about money, it's also about community.
Hey, Cherie, at what point do you want to answer some of these questions? Do you want to hold off
I was going to hold off until I'm finished, because I promise you it's not going to take me long to go through this.
Okay. No problem. No problem.
Yeah. But I want you to chime in on these two slides, Dr. V. The personal slide that I talked about, and then the community.
Sure.
I believe that all of us are also here to do something that is for the greater good and the social good of our young people. and just our community in general. I keep talking about this idea of finding and nurturing the next Lamar Wilson. And Lamar Wilson is just a prototype of really smart people that we can bring on. We can hire them as apprentices or interns. This can be some of the greatest investments in our community, is offering different types of employment or just opportunities and chances to some of our young people. So there is a personal wealth side to it, but there's also a community side to being an officer, and you would be at the center of it all. So Dr. V, you want to chime in on any of this?
Yeah, and these are the types of decisions that will be made by the officers of DOIC. I mean, you have the ability to make this thing what you want. I mean, the impact the community as a whole can have is just as big as we can sort of imagine it to be. So there's significant opportunity to impact our community here.
Great. That's true. So then the question is, should you run for office? Here's the deal. If you like an operations manual already created for you, where you're able to just go in and fill in the paperwork, and you don't have to think outside the box, and you don't have to talk to people, this is not the job for you. We are literally creating something out of nothing. There are no other real, at least in my research, real crypto investment clubs out there like we're building. There's no rule book. So one of the things is you got to like uncertainty. But then once we get some certainty, you got to be willing, and I'm not saying you personally, but you have to oversee it. We've got to document everything so that the next group and the next group will have the documentation. That's going to be very important. You have to be great problem solvers. You're going to get I have a ton of questions thrown at me, and this is just the beginning. You're going to get a ton of questions thrown at you. You're going to have to be able to solve problems and solve them pretty quickly. You're going to have to be able to lead, manage, recruit, and inspire people to HODL. And we talk about that all the time. You will need to potentially represent the club in all marketing efforts for ICO pitches and new members, being able to speak comfortably about what's happening in the club and why people should consider participating. And because of our ballot measures, you're going to have to consider this as a 2-year commitment. The ballot, as I hope all of you have read the election guide, the ballot says specifically that the voters have a choice between a 1-year term or a 2-year term. So you need to assume that you are going to have to serve for 2 years. That doesn't mean if people choose 1 year that you can't run for re-election, but you consider 2 years as a term, and you're really going to be laying the foundation for everything. So what you do is going to impact us 50 years from now. Dr. V, I would love for you to chime in on this slide.
I mean, you said it all, Cherie. I mean, there's not much more to say. You just have to be comfortable with a dynamic situation. We're trying to do something that hasn't been done before. And when you're dealing with a lot of people, come on, y'all know what I'm talking about. You're dealing with a lot of us, okay? You're dealing with a lot of us. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody has their say, wants to be heard, and that's fine. But you have to be comfortable with conflict, and you have to know how to deal with it efficiently. And
your voice is going down a little bit.
Oh, you need to know how to deal with that efficiently and democratically, and be willing to solve problems. So I agree. You said it very efficiently, Cherie.
Great. I'm glad you agree with me. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the candidate nomination form. And the first thing is how your picture should look, because you will be asked to provide a picture. So if you look at the picture to the left, this is wrong. Why is this wrong? Because it's you and 50 million people in the picture with you, and nobody knows who you are versus all the other people, okay? The picture to the right is what we're looking for. And yes, this is a different haircut, but I like that yellow blouse. So I said, hey, we're going to go with it. Picture to the right, just you, not you and your kids, not your kid and not you in the picture, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure you know what we mean. I made the joke, but I'm very serious. The club is not electing avatars. Therefore, we need to see a picture of you. Now, this is a picture I took with my webcam, as you can see in my office. So it doesn't have to be, a glam shot. I'm not saying that, but just take a selfie, whatever you have to do, just give us a picture of you. Now we're going to move to, where is my, okay. I'm going to stop share for a second here. And
just want to make sure everyone knows that we see that there are questions there. If you just popped in, we are going to wait until the end and answer all questions.
Yes. And just let me know, I'm going to come to the chat really quickly. Can you see my screen that says nomination form?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Perfect. Oh, I have you good. I'm not used to having someone here with me. I have to always ask. Okay. All right. So this is our nomination form. It is in PDF. We are going to email it to people, and it will also be on our website on Friday. So it's a very simple form that you need to fill out and return to election@digitalundergroundinvestmentclub.com. It needs to be returned no later than 5 p.m. on Tuesday, February 6th. Now, this is 5 p.m. Eastern. If we get it at 5:02 Eastern, it will be considered late. It will not be accepted. Okay? So one of the key things is we need to move on time here. So you've got a week to decide if you want to run. What are some of the things we're going to ask you? We're going to ask you your name, the city you reside in, the state, the time zone you're in, email address where members should send questions. Okay, if you don't want your primary email address used, create a new Gmail account. We have no problem with that, but you need to go in a couple of times a day to check it, because we want you to be transparent with members. And the only way that they can do that and feel that is if they have a way to access you. Also, give us, your social media pages if you have them, if you want to share them, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. Let us know who you are. The more information you give people, the more secure they will feel, because we aren't in the same room together. So this is going to be the best representation of you. Then you're going to be able to upload your photo here. I tried it before. It does work. It's a little signal here, but it does work. So you're going to be able to upload your photo here. My favorite thing, your YouTube submission video. Everyone is going to be asked to do a 3 to 5 minute video. It can be just you taking your cell phone and just, talking into it and then uploading it to YouTube. It can be something that you do on your webcam if you choose to. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. All we want to know is who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself, why you're running, what's important to you, your platform. When I say your platform, the things that you care about, the things that you're going to work hard to fight for, etc. And you want to put the link to your YouTube video in this line here. And you can also make your video unlisted. That's what I'm doing for the DUIC video, so that on YouTube, people can't search and find it. They need the link to actually find it. So if you want a little bit of privacy, you can do that. The position you're seeking, one position, preferably per person. So if you want to be president, say president. If you want to be secretary, say secretary. Then tell us in 500 words or less why you want to hold this position. This again gives people an idea of you and who you are. What experience do you have that makes you qualified? I'm not asking you to tell me that you've been the CEO of a Fortune 500 company unless you have been. You can be a stay-at-home mom and you can be super organized and say, I want to be secretary because I'm really organized and I know that I can provide benefit to the group. So we're not looking for someone who has been a VP before to be a VP here. You just need to tell us, hey, I organized the church missionary, or something like that, so that we get an idea of something you've done in the past that makes you qualified. Then the question of what's your vision for the DUIC in terms of the ICO negotiations, the bylaws, operating agreements, etc. People are going to want to know what you believe and what you're going to fight for. And if it's important to you, I suggest you put it here, whatever it is. Now, I will say this. Oh, and then the final question before I say this. Please give any additional reasons why voters should elect you. So you can tell us that. And I'm going to stop my share here because I want you to see me fully when I say this. Outside of you saying something absolutely like over the top crazy, I'm not going to censor anybody in terms of what they say in these boxes. That is not my position to do that. You do have to give us your YouTube link. You do have to fill in your name and all of that stuff. If those items are not filled in, your nomination form will be rejected. But you can say, in the ICO negotiations, I'm going to ask for, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to censor that. That is your right. So, Dr. V, you can let me know what your thoughts are about that. Dr.
Yeah,
V?
the only thing I want to add here, 2-3, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, the only thing I want to add is it's not prudent to leave any information off of your application, because we will check out the candidates, particularly those that when we get down to the few. So leaving off a Twitter account, leaving off your Facebook page because you on there doing whatever you're doing, it's just not wise. So make sure you turn in a complete application and don't try to withhold, because that obviously is a red flag. That's one thing. I also see another question here I want to answer. I think Robin is asking, can someone be removed if they don't comply with the rules? I think this falls right in line with what I'm saying here. Mm-hmm. The elected officers have a critical role in the negotiations for everybody in the group. We don't need any shady characters. We don't need anyone with ulterior motives. So yeah, the answer to that, Robin, is hell yeah. Okay. So we'll have a vote. Of course, I don't have the power. One person has the power to do that. We will have a vote, and you can be removed from office for not being truthful, mm-hmm. and or for not complying with the rules as stated in our election guide.
Right. Absolutely. So I'm going to finish. I think I have like 2 more slides to show, and then we can go to questions. So I'm going to share my screen here, and let's see here. So, okay, Dr. V, let me know if you can see the slide.
Yes, I see it.
Okay. So let's talk about running a campaign. These are just some things that I Googled and I thought about to help you run your campaign. Number 1 is having some sort of a core message. It could be a couple of things you believe in, but just people getting a sense of you having a core message. The second thing is you got to get organized. At the very least, in your calendar, know when the candidate town halls are, for example. Make sure that you're checking your email twice a day where people are sending you questions. Those are the types of things that can trip you up. Tell people why they should vote for you. You're going to have to say your message over and over again. That is life. That is the nature of having 1,000 people listening to you, is you're going to have to say your message over and over again. Talk to everybody. Answer emails in a timely manner. And once you get a constituency or a group of people that are behind you, then it's important to get out the vote. Dr. V, do you have anything else with regards to that?
Nada.
Okay. So here are some of my final thoughts. And this is in regards to not only running your campaign, but being in the office should you be elected. Number one is you got to manage your time, and number two, manage others' expectations. And what do I mean by that? People will call you at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. if you allow them to. And the way you prevent that is through the candidacy process of laying the groundwork. So when I was hammering on the table the other day, read the election guide, that's because I knew if I didn't say that, I was going to get a barrage of emails from people and I was going to get really, really mad. You're dealing with 1,000 people. You're dealing with human nature. You need to be available to people. Absolutely need to be available to people. But that doesn't give them the right to dominate your life or take you away from your kids. And that doesn't mean you're not going to be spending time doing this. But that's my best advice to you, is to manage your time, manage others' expectations. And the final thing, I worked really hard to lay a good foundation for this organization. We didn't spare any expenses. I spent $1,200 thus far, and we have another 100 or so we're spending. How you work and how you show up is how your team is going to work and how your team is going to show up. If you show up late to meetings, they're going to show up late to meetings. If you are part of the secretary team and you have a bunch of misspellings and grammatical errors in what you are sending out, your team is going to have the same work ethic. But if you come at 110%, your team will do so as well. And your team is going to take the reins from you in terms of they're going to do what you do. And it's so important for us. We are a Black organization. Everybody is we have to work 3 times as hard to be on the same level as other people. And when people come to the DUIC website and when people see us, they're going to automatically think less than. And if you're not able, I'm asking you, as not only the election chair, but as Cherie, who has put money into this thing and believes in this thing, if you were not able to show up and to offer the best, please do not run. Please don't do it. Dr. V, I'm going to shut up now before I say.
No. I mean, you summed it up well. We need someone who is professional, who has the time. We're talking about speaking with people not only within our community, but also outside of our community. So we need people that will represent the group well. I can't underscore enough the importance of being timely. I know I will be working very intimately. As things are structured now, I will be working very intimately with this leadership team, and I am prompt. So I won't tolerate things not happening as on time, and I won't waste your time, and you shouldn't waste others. So again, just consider it. If you're looking for this to be your personal soapbox or, something to put on your resume, this is not the place. This is not the correct venue. You will have a great opportunity to negotiate deals, see deals, and work on the behalf of thousands of people. So you need to look at it not only as an opportunity, but also as a burden, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of responsibility, but you'll have a lot of support. I don't want this to all sound negative. You will have a tremendous amount of support if you step up and do what it is that needs to be done. So I guess I'll stop there as well.
So just an FYI, if you have your hand raised, we are not accepting raised hands tonight. You need to go into the Q&A and ask a question. We are only taking questions about running or being an elected officer, no other questions about anything else is going to be allowed this evening. So just because we want to stay on topic for this, for people who watch it in the future. So I'm going to read some of these before I say them. Let's see here. Okay, so Sonia Reed asked the question, what do you envision being the time commitment, either weekly, monthly, or annually? That's a great question, Sonia. I think that you probably in the very beginning will have a lot of meetings just because there'll be a lot of setup. So maybe for the first 6 months, Dr. V can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just kind of thinking that we've got to get the IRS and the SEC consultants working. We've got a lot of infrastructure to create, everything from opening a bank, and you think opening a bank is just opening a bank account is just walking into the bank and saying, I want an account. Well, when you're dealing with a couple $1 million going in a year, you are able to get favors and concessions and things like that from the bank. So we've got to start interviewing banks. We've got to interview all of these people. So there will be a time commitment in. I think once we get past the first ICO, whether it is Jarvis or another ICO, because of course that has to be voted on. Once we get that process in, I'm imagining that things will kind of level out. So Dr. V, you can give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I would agree. I can't give you a time estimate, but again, if I have anything to do with it, all meetings will be run efficiently, and that's where organization becomes critical, because the more efficient you run, the less time you waste. So if we can consolidate issues within one meeting, then hell, I'm for it. That's what we'll do. Mm-hmm. But I'm running on all cylinders right now, but we're pretty efficient with our meetings. I mean, it may be a few hours a week. It's not overly cumbersome, but there will be more work at the beginning on the front end.
Yeah. Sonia, I will say something else as the election chair that I have discovered with my team. The more prepared I am for the meeting and to give them direction, and the faster I get back to them with answers to their questions, the less time I spend. So absolutely. A lot of it is spending time on the front end so I don't have to spend time on the back end. And my election team, they have taken, I said, this is my grand vision, and they have taken it. And when I tell you they have taken it and run with it, they are amazing. And I think you'll find that as well. So that's why I was hammering the point about the way you show up is the way the team will show up.
That's right.
So Benjamin Young, you asked the question here, how many committees do you envision? Asking because committee management is part of the VP role and I am considering running for. Benjamin, today I sent out a video called Committees, Why the DUIC is like a football team. And that was in your email this morning. So I would suggest you watch that video because I go through some of the committees that are going to be created. I think it's a really good video for you to watch so you can get the ideas. The truth is, at the end of the day, I laid a groundwork, but you as the potential VP and the other officers will have to take what I've done and kind of fill it in. So let's see here. Is everyone in the DUIC going to have a position or job or okay, so sorry, Chavez Vera, that's a question for another day, okay? But I promise we will answer your question. Okay, Anonymous is asking, must a candidate be Black to run for office? I'm passionate about the community even if my skin color is different. My answer is we accept everybody, and Dr. Boyce's platform is about accepting everybody. And if you are aligned with Dr. Boyce and his teachings, then please do run. Dr. V?
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't discriminate here. We're trying to build wealth, and if you're on that team, then by all means, join us.
Ansel Floyd asked, will we be able to schedule a debate-styled webinar for all potential candidates prior to Election Day? Very good question, Ansel.
What's up, Ansel? How you doing? Terp Life.
We have 2 candidate town halls that will be similar to, not necessarily a debate style, but more of a Q&A, where depending on how many people show up, everyone will have a couple of minutes to let the community know who you are, and then people will be able to ask questions. And you may be able to do some light debating there, but we'll have to make sure we're not talking over each other during that candidate town hall. Tanny Bentley says, hello and thank you both for your hard work and dedication. You're welcome, Tanny. Will the club's finances and records in general be stored on blockchain technology for transparency? That is up to the treasurer and the SEC and IRS rules. We cannot get into that right now.
Correct.
Okay. Tamara Avery, will there be term limits as in you can be reelected a certain number of times? We have not set that within the bylaw, within the ballot questions. It's a good question though, if we want to add that as a ballot question. I don't know, I kind of figured after a couple of terms, you might want to do something else anyway.
Maybe midway through the first term.
If enough people have that question or concern, then we can definitely add that as a ballot question. So, do you need to make your Facebook page public? This is Sonia Reed. I don't know. If people just have a link to your Facebook page, can they see it with just the link?
Well, no, what needs to happen is you need to friend, if we got to that point, you'd need to friend either myself and or Cherie, so that we can take a look at your Facebook page if it is not public.
Yeah. My only concern is if it's on the candidate nomination form, then other people are probably going to try to go to that page. So it really is just a matter of transparency. We just ask for one social media page. So if you have your YouTube page and you have your 3 to 5 minute video on the YouTube page, that's fine. I'm not going to remove your candidate nomination form because of that. Just have your YouTube page that would be available. Michelle Junius says, will candidates presented to run have a background of skill sets revealed to us so we are certain they have the capacity?
She then says under that's been answered. So
okay. All right. Sorry. Oh, yes. So Pamela Green asked a great question about the drug-free thing. How's this going to be verified? Drug tests. So Dr. V and I will work on the specifics of that, but there are LabCorps all over the country. So D'Antonio, what about asking each candidate to provide 5 to 7 testimonials from references, either written or via message to the DU? If that is something that you want to do as a candidate, you are more than welcome to do that. The more information people have about you, the better, but that is not a minimum requirement that we have. Okay, let's see here. Vivian Stewart. Oh, this is Elder Vivian. Hi, Elder. Blessings to Cherie and Dr. V. I missed part of the PowerPoint presentation. Will it be saved to watch at a later time? Yes, it will, Elder. We'll send that out most likely tomorrow. Kay Amaral asked a great question. Are candidates able to run on a ticket or team? My answer is yes, but people are still going to vote on you individually. Dr. V?
Agreed.
Okay. You guys are asking good questions. Love this. Marcellus Love. Okay, what protects the group from excess spending by appointed officials? That is a very, very good question.
Very good
question.
So
first of all, no one individual is going to be able to take money out of the bank or charge things. The second thing is that the treasurer and a select team of people will create a budget that has to be approved. The third is that it will be written in the bylaws or operating agreement or someplace like that, that so usually in a company, if you have a budget line item and you spend more than that, then you have to have a justification for spending more than that. And the cash has to be in the bank. So that's a great question, Marcellus. I'm sure that we will get more, more regulations in regards to that, but those are three things as a previous bookkeeper, and my mother's a bookkeeper, that come to my head in terms of associations. Dr. V?
You've answered it.
Okay. Gwen Carter, I really don't want to answer your question.
I love that, Gwen.
Okay, the question that Gwen asked
Let me take it then, since you don't want to take it.
Yes, please.
So Gwen, look at her. She is a mess. Gwen is asking, is Cherie considering running for an office? And the answer is yes, she is. Yes, she is. And she will have a form like everyone else. So we'll leave it there.
Yeah. The people are trying to nominate me. Let's just say that. So we shall see. Cherie hasn't made up her mind yet, but I will say if I decide to do it, then I would leave this post. But, I'm not going to answer any more than that. So Kevin Joseph will answer your question at another time. Dave Metley asked about a separate Facebook page being created for the DUIC. I can anticipate that people will be promoting campaigning on the DU site, and it could cause an influx of messages and notifications, would take away from people missing out on valuable information. Okay, Dave, we within the club are creating our own website with our own member forum within the website. I have gotten reports that people are sending out fake Facebook page invitations under the club name, the Digital Underground Investment Club name. These are fake. If you don't hear it from me, it's fake, okay? On Friday, our website is going to be released. Brian Jones is putting on, and Audrey Taylor putting on a few finishing touches. And in that forum, we will be able to have all of the election talk. And it's also a place where Charles and Lawrence and the other, and Mark and even Dr. Boyce will not come in. Dr. V has access to it because she is our liaison, so that's in full transparency. But these are places where we can have private conversations. Marcellus Love asked, do we need 2 treasurers for security purposes? Great question, Marcellus. The way it's going to work is the treasurer and most likely the president will be the 2 signers on the accounts, and no money can be transferred without the 2 signatures. Also, I was doing some reading on security purposes for the financials, and usually what they do is they will ask the bank to send 3 bank statements to 3 different people. So one would be potentially the treasurer, one would be the president, and one may be the secretary, for example. And everyone looks at the statements and makes sure that there's no funny stuff happening in any of the accounts. So Aruna Pekot asked the question, is it planned that over the elected term that there be some form of feedback mechanism to allow for evaluating officer performance and overall process improvement? I think you're in the room full of 1,000 Black people. You're going to know. There's a problem.
Yeah, pretty much.
Feedback mechanism problem in this group.
Agreed. I think if there's a problem, we will hear about it. So we might have to shut it down. We'll hear about it so much. So I don't think that will be an issue.
Okay. We do have an anonymous question, and this is fair. In regards to the drug testing, if a candidate has taken controlled substances for pain management, is it allowed as long as it is prescribed? I'm going to say yes. Just contact Dr. V and I before you go in. Or if I'm not here, contact Dr. V. Just so that we're transparent. Of course, she will keep that information 1,000% confidential, but we don't want surprises. And you don't have to say anything until you win if this is truly what the documentation you're going to be providing us. Will we get statements quarterly? Okay, so I answered that question, Joy. And then Jermaine is asking, since this is our last question, is there a projected deadline for everything to be done and we will be an official group? The answer to that, Jermaine, is I don't know. It depends. We have a lot of balls happening, a lot of balls in the air here. And the truth is, once the officers are elected, we have to hire an SEC consultant and an IRS consultant, and we have to hire the best. We can't hire someone that's $2.50 and doesn't know what they're talking about. So it's better for us to take our time and do it right than to rush, which is why I'm rushing the election so that we don't have to rush that process. So I hope that that is okay with you.
Shuri, let me address a question or
Yes.
a comment I see in the chat by Derek. He's saying that a feedback mechanism should still be in place or formalized in regards to the other question about, what if we have a complaint? And I agree, because I think it addresses the other question as to whether we can, sort of demote someone or pull someone from a position if they're not doing a satisfactory job. So yeah, I think that is something that we need to figure out, and that's what the elected. Then we need to talk about that.
So one of the things that I talked about this morning in my committee's video was having a kind of board of advisors that would look at the long-term strategy and mostly the long-term strategy of the group. If they are an official board of advisors or board for all of us, even though they're not elected, and maybe we figure out how to do something like that, that could be the feedback mechanism that we could have. So I think we will work it out. We promise we'll work it out. We'll figure something out. So I see another question here by Ansel in the chat. Shouldn't the president of the club have a seat on the board of the Jarvis ICO so that we have representation? I will say, Ansel, that Dr. V and I have talked about that. And just know that you are not the first person to say or suggest that. And Dr. V and I have talked about it. Somebody asked here, what about a psych test? Let's see here. The question, will the site be password protected? This is from Karen White. Every member will have their own password. We have SSL protections and all of that. So that's more of a Brian question, but I think I'm fairly certain that we have taken all the measures we need to keep the site protected. If you see anything else, Dr. B, let me know.
Let me answer Marcellus. Marcellus just asked another question. He's saying, can we try to use Black attorneys and Black banks? Here's my view on that. We go to the DU for our resources. We try to go to the DU for our resources first. But at the end of the day, given the magnitude and gravity of what we're trying to do, we need the best. And if that is our people, by all means, understand that we will try our damnedest to incorporate our own. But understand that time is of the essence. It's just like real estate, right? So we can't spend weeks and months. We don't necessarily have that luxury. We need to tap into resources and networks we already have, and that may indeed include people outside of our race. So understand that we may not have the luxury of spending months to find that one person or two people that specialize in SEC law. We just may not have that luxury, but we do, of course, try.
Okay, so I have couple of things to say about this because I did see this comment before. I want to talk about the Black consultants. I actually know someone that knows the SEC law pretty well. She is a Black woman. She used to be the operations manager of one of the big Wall Street banks. I've reached out to her already. I said, hey, is this something that you think you could consult on? She said, yeah, probably. I would put her name in the hat if we don't have a DUIC member. But even with a DUIC member, if you want to talk about people going to jail or having their life savings wiped out, mess with the SEC. We have got to hire the right person. And I'm going to speak as Cherie now and not as the election chair. I'd rather the person be right than be Black. I'm very honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, not that
I'm going to jail.
Not that they're mutually exclusive, but that's right. I mean, we need the best. We need the expertise over race, and I think everybody gets it. I think we can move
everybody
on.
Gets it. Yeah, and then in terms of the Black bank, one of the things that we just need to consider is there's no national Black bank, and I'm not saying we wouldn't use a Black bank at all. This is just my Cherie hat on now. We need to think logistically about using any bank, whether it's Black, white, or indifferent, in terms of today, the president and the treasurer may be in a place where One United Bank is, and I'll use them because they're the largest. But what happens 2 years from now when we have different people coming in? So I get what people are saying about buy Black. I 1,000% agree with that. But we have to think 50, 100 years, well, not with the bank, but we have to think in terms of it's going to need to flow from one group of officers to the next. And I'm just going to encourage you, before we make these decisions, to really think about the infrastructure that we're building and just make sure that when your term is up, you're able to hand the keys over in an easy way to the next group. So I have to laugh here. Cameron said, bravo, Cherie, for making your closing argument advice so straightforward. Thank you, Cameron. I'm just kind of going up here, seeing if there were any more comments that we miss.
Well, there are other questions in the Q&A, Cherie.
Okay. Did you want to?
6 o'clock as well. So let's take 2 more. Yeah.
Okay. Whichever ones you want to take. Whichever one you want to take.
People got to feed their kids. So let's look at Angela Green is asking, will the candidates go through a credit check, especially the treasurer? If so, will there be a threshold? Absolutely. There will absolutely be a credit check. Threshold question, we have not we haven't set a bar.
No.
No, but we look at a whole picture. That's the thing. Angela, just know we look at a complete picture. You know, we don't cross someone out for necessarily one particular reason, but we certainly do check credit. Another question, any consideration of bond? Oh, go ahead, Cherie. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Dr. B, it's not just the treasurer, it's all the officers are going to
all the officers go through a
credit and a criminal. Yeah, because
that's right.
There may come a point where the secretary needs to access something. So everybody is going through it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that was a great point. Thank you. Any considerations of bonding and or liability insurance, I guess, for those who handle?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Moving on. Let's take one more. You want to take the last one, Cherie?
Go ahead.
I don't know. Answer.
You don't have one?
No.
So I don't have one either.
Well, Tamiko is asking, what happens if there are circumstances that a person can't stay in position anymore? How will that be handled? That I think we have not decided. That is to be decided by the elected officials.
Yes,
I would say.
Maurice Parks asked a great question, and it has nothing to do with the officers, but I want to talk about this one. He says DUIC.biz, we should get that one. Well, it just so happened I got DUIC.world yesterday for us. So DUIC.world. Huh? So, hey, Maurice, what's up?
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know I'm a little goofy right now, but yeah. So we still have Digital Underground Investment Club. We also own cryptoinvestmentclubs.org. So when we're ready to launch our information site for the crypto investment clubs, we will have that. And we just got DUIC.world yesterday, and Audrey Taylor created a wonderful, simple logo for us that says DUIC. It's fabulous. And when I saw that, I decided to get DUIC.world so we could have business cards and, all of that. So I'm thinking ahead for everybody. Don't worry.
Can we make this the last one, and let's go ahead and wrap this up, Cherie?
Yes.
Devin has a great question. Does being a felon disqualify you from applying to a committee or a subcommittee? Absolutely not. It does not disqualify you. No.
No, we want you. We want as many hands as we can get.
Yes.
Yes. So with that, Dr. V, do you have any closing words for us?
No, not really, guys. Listen, guys and gals, listen, family, my people. Just remember to keep focused. Disarray, dysfunction, and those that try to divide will be the quickest way for us to fail. And we don't have the luxury of failure right now. We're trying to do something great here. We're trying to build something great. So let's stay focused and let's get it. Let's get it done.
Fantastic. Well, I hope that we've said enough tonight to have you really thinking about if this is something that you want to do. Know that you will get plenty of support. So it's not going to be you working 80 hours a week on DUIC. There are a lot of people that have reached out to me thus far saying, I can't be an officer, but let me know what else I can do. So I can assure you, everyone's looking at the $15 billion prize, and we're going to all do what we need to do to support you. So with that, God bless everybody. Have a good evening. If you missed the beginning of this, I promise tomorrow morning we will post this in the Facebook page and also send you a link so that you can get this recording. So thank you so much.
Good night.